The first piece is Randy and Sean are here tonight to share with you that we're exploring a new CTE program.
Thank you.
With the Department of Ed and locally as well. So I just wanted them to share the information with you. Randy, can you go over quickly? The CTE Center was just audited. So do you want to just quickly go over how that went?
Sure, yeah, we had monitoring, which happens every year, and we had a great visit from the Department of Ed. We had culinary, multimedia, and autos were the 3 programs that were monitored, and we'll be getting a report soon to see if there's any corrective actions that we need to make. But the meeting went well, and Department of Ed seemed to be very happy. So
what's going on? Good. All right. Hand it over to Sean.
Sure. So we currently have a program called Wild Wilderness Youth Leadership Development, and we serve 19 students currently. We have 9 on an A day and 9 on a B day. We see them every other day for a semester, and then the group changes. What we're looking at in order to sustain that program and offer more for our students is to create an outdoor recreation leadership CTE program. So I've been working for the past couple of years with a professor from UNH in the outdoor education department and a program called CAST out of Massachusetts to come up with a framework for a CTE program in outdoor recreation. And they are implementing it on somewhat of a level at Littleton as a bike tech program this year. Next year it'll be at White Mountain Regional, Littleton, and Kennett. But that's just the bike tech program. We're looking to do more than that. So bike tech would be one, but we'd also look at having students get certified as a lifeguard, get certified in wilderness first aid, all these different things where they can get jobs in our community. So being in the White Mountains, there's plenty of jobs in outdoor recreation, and I get calls all the time from people looking for employees in those fields, summer camp counselors, things like that. So we thought it was a good fit to help us sustain the program, but also give a little bit more. So we're still in the planning process. I sent out an email yesterday and a follow-up today to try to get some advisory board members, because that's kind of where we have to start. I've already heard back from a couple of the professors in the Adventure Ed department at Plymouth State University that they're on board 100% to help us with the process. Also reached out, actually I sent you an email today. It'd be great to have someone from Parks and Rec on board for that.
I'm thinking maybe Kelsey Bowden when she gets back, and you and her have worked together.
Sent her a message too.
Yeah, should be great.
Perfect. Whales Tail Water Park, because they were always looking for employees for both their water park and their zip line. They're interested. Waterville Valley Ski Area, Plymouth Ski and Sports, Guam Lakes Association. So all those, hopefully, will have representation on our advisory board. And Randy and I have been working with, what's
Eric Feldborg.
Eric Feldborg.
Yeah, he worked for the Department of Ed and Career and Tech Ed. He's a consultant now, and we've been speaking to him, trying to feel out the Department of Ed things, administrative things that we need to have in line on the Department of Ed's side. One of the things that this advisory board is very important to get a good advisory board and help us in the beginning stages. So that's where we're at right now, getting the advisory board together and starting to have meetings to put the pieces together and see what we can put together. Really early on at this stage.
Any questions?
So this is going to become a CTE program, is that the goal?
That's the goal.
Would it be replacing one that we have now?
We become the 7th program. So the minimum you can have to be a career and tech ed center is 5. So we're one over the minimum right now.
Yeah.
That's 6. This would be the 7th program.
It would be a 2-year program?
Well, that's the pieces that we have to work out. It will always be a 2-year program. But whether it's a level 1 or level 2 in 2 years, or you split it up into semester courses, or you had an introductory course, all those things that we have to figure out when we meet with the advisor of the Department of Ed. We're not quite there yet. Right now, we have 2 half-year courses. The kids get full credit, is it?
They get a half credit in phys ed and a half credit in art right now.
So the course that we're offering now is, would be like an introductory course to the, if we get to career and tech ed program. So,
Yes.
Would it, could it be incorporated into the PE program, and especially if that would make it easier, less hoops to jump through, and then going through the CTE route?
Instead of being a CTE?
Yeah.
I mean, that's up to,
I mean, I don't know if it's easier to have that happen that way,
yeah.
as opposed to,
Well, that's kind of where it is right now.
yeah.
You know,
Right.
I think CTE, if it's a CTE program, will get much more support, having the ability to have access to the Perkins Fund
Okay.
that we get each year.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one of the things.
And you do a lot more credit too,
Mhm.
coming through the CT portion.
Right, so currently now CTE programs, completers get, they get 4 credits at the end of completion.
Right.
Good.
I think this is great, and especially the undertone of hospitality that so many of our students go into. So I thank you, and good luck, and anything you need, let us know. It's very exciting. Very, very exciting.
Thank you.
Are those water bottles?
I have some water bottles too. I
Oh.
always bring
Take them
swag.
down.
I'm sure you got enough.
Thank you.
I have enough for board members. That's the priority.
That's all. Still in the brainstorming phase, that's all we can get right now.
That's very exciting. You're popular.
For the finance guys.
Excuse me.
All right, thank you.
Good?
Thanks.
We're good,
Yeah,
that's
thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
I told you it'd be quick.
Thank you.
Great night.
Brady, can you leave that thing in my mailbox? Card.
Yes.
Thank you.
The other page too.
See, yeah,
Thank
you
you.
too.
I have I'd like to update you on our testing. A couple of weeks ago, we ran testing here at the school, if you remember, for the 9th graders, the 10th graders, and the 11th graders. The 11th graders take the SAT, that's the assessment that the state uses. The scores are coming in individually for, some of the students have received them. I have not received them from the full school yet. The same with the PSATs for the 10th graders. But I did receive the 9th grade scores that I'd like to share with you. And one thing I would like to point out to the board is, keep in mind, last year, through Kyla's efforts, since she's been the superintendent, they've been testing the 8th graders with the PSATs too, in all the districts, in all of the schools, incoming schools. But last year, due to COVID, those kids were not tested, so they went a year without it. So I'm happy to report that we had 168 students take the test. Our English score was 469, and our math score was 461. The state average is 457, and the state in English and the state average for math was 447. So our kids did score well beyond the state. I don't know how that, matched up to, I don't know how many schools did take it, but when I have those numbers with the state, and there were close to 2,500 kids in the state that took it, so I'm pretty happy with those scores. I'll be sending home those scores to our freshman family soon, and when the 10th and 11th graders come back in, I'll be happy to come back to this committee and share those results.
Nice
Questions?
job.
Thank you
Nice job.
to the staff.
Instructional coordinator.
Yes, I also had the opportunity to, there were a number of people that applied for the instructional coordinators. I had just one applicant in English, Laurie DeFost, I was happy to appoint. In math, I had 2, and I went with Michael Boyle for next year as the instructional coordinator. In world languages, which also represents the art department, Patricia Rella is going to be our instructional coordinator. And in the career tech, it will be Kyle Reed. that will be working with us next year in that role. And in science, I'm happy to report it'll be Finding Acorn that will be representing the science department. I did not receive any applications from the social studies. That's fine. As we move ahead, maybe somebody will be interested. If you recall, that's part of the contractual piece that you guys did. So those instructional coordinators will work with me and my new assistant principal on PLCs and the UBD design that we're working on. Also, the schedule, the new schedule that we've implemented will be coming forth. Hopefully, we'll be able to present that to you after the union votes on their end. And they will teach 4. They will have a duty-free period, and that other period will be working with me and Jen Nicholas for those 5 people.
That's all we have.
That's teaching and learning. I'm getting ready for AP tests coming up in May, so that should be fun. Also, we had our first dance. I can let this committee know Friday night. It was well attended, about 160 kids, and they were very good. I had a ton of chaperones, which was nice too, and the kids had a good time. This Friday, we're doing a spring fling, and the kids will have regular classes from 7:30 to 11:30. And then I have a number of activities going on both inside and outside with a pretty big barbecue starting at 11:30. Kids will have an early dismissal like they've always had in the past. You guys have approved. I did let the parents know. So they'll start their vacation and spring break, hopefully on a happy note. When we come back, it'll be obviously a whirlwind tour, especially for our seniors. They'll have the prom, they have their mandatory prom meeting on the 12th. The prom is the 14th at Grapponi Center, like it's always been. It's a junior-senior prom, so that will be open to 2 groups. I'm hoping I get around 200 kids that attend that. Yearbook Assembly is on the 25th. I'm doing the Underclass Awards at night on June 7th, the same night you guys meet. So if you guys want to attend that, graduation's the 4th, made all the arrangements. Everything's ordered, the sound system, the stage, and we always have that back up on Sunday, just in case I need that in regards. Their senior awards too will be there Tuesday. That'll be in-house too at the college. The only thing that'll be off campus will be the spring concert. I think it's on the 25th. Don't quote me. And that's at 7 o'clock at Silver Isle.
Okay. Any questions, Bruce? We can move right into operations now.
Before we come to that,
Yeah.
not a question for Bruce, but a little bit ago, we brought the issue forward about developing policy around public input, and that was going to go to the committee, a committee. So I don't know if you've given thought as to which committee you want to do it, but we just hope it doesn't fall by the wayside.
Yep. We can do that. I would think it would probably fit under operations.
That's what I'm thinking, but since I can speak on this group, like.
Yeah, okay. All right, so I can open the meeting at 5:17 for the school operations because we do have a quorum for that. So the first piece of business is to nominate a chair. Do I hear any nominations? So on the committee.
Roger did it in the past, and so he's not here today. I mean, I would nominate him, but I think he probably wants to be here to get nominated, right?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if the time is a conflict sometimes.
Who's asking?
I think when we talked about 5:30, he thought he could do it if it was 5 and 5:30, but.
Well, I think out of fairness to him, why don't we, if we could, wait till next meeting to see if he is at the end. If he doesn't want it, then we can.
Do you want to
I don't
nominate?
want to nominate him if he says he can't do it.
You could nominate him, and then if he declines,
Okay.
you could do a
That's fine.
vice. You could at least do a vice tonight to run the meeting, and then if he declines,
Okay,
then
I
the
nominate
vice
Peter.
gets.
I nominate Peter as vice. He's done an excellent job in the past on that.
I know a lot about rice.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor? Any
I guess.
noes?
Vote.
Abstentions? All right. The meeting's yours.
I do first, she's not vice, she's better.
Agenda review and disposition, any changes?
The only pieces that we're adding to the updates on facilities is just a finance update as well.
Approval of the minutes of September 21st, 21, 22.
21, actually.
Okay. Okay, approval of minutes of September 21st, 2021. Anybody have any changes? Okay, minutes are approved as written. Discussion items, facility updates.
Yeah, so included in, I have Dan here tonight too, to just give you some work that we've done, Bruce, Dan, and myself, over where the budget is right now. John Francis has recently left, so we have some of the summer projects that we'd like to look into, as well as some of the long-term projects that we've been discussing all along. So we just wanted to kind of give you, front-load you with all the information prior to taking any action. So I'll have Dan first review how the budget's looking this year.
Thank you. I'd like to start by giving you just two pieces of information that we could then dive deeper if you wanted to. But as of right now, unspent in the current year's budget, and so if the fiscal year were to end today with all current contracts paid out, any purchase orders that are open, those completed, et cetera, we'd have approximately $1.75 million remaining in unretained fund balance. I'd like to balance that conversation with the fact that at last year's year end, the board voted to retain $260,000 from the fund balance at the prior year end. You also voted in the current discussion, in this year's discussion for next year's budget, you committed $211,000 of that money to be a revenue to offset taxes this coming fall. So what that boils down to is that there's still an additional $250,000 capacity to retain moving into next year. You have, as I say, you have about $50,000 left over from last year, and you could retain another $250,000. Total capacity is $300,000. So you've got $1.75 unspent at this point, and you could choose to retain about $250,000 of it towards next year's retained fund balance, or savings account, if you will.
Would you recommend that that's what we do? Do you think that's the best course of action?
I always recommend a retained fund balance if the money is there. I think that's a conversation that we would have in June.
Okay.
I'll come back to you in June when we're a little further along in the year.
We pay out all the contracts.
Finish paying out contracts, any other spending that's committed or contemplated comes into a full discussion.
Yep.
And then in June, we make a decision about how much fund balance we're going to retain moving into the next fiscal year.
Okay.
So we're in pretty good shape.
I think you are, yes, and revenues are as well. So there's always a key balancing component.
Okay. There were two things?
Well, I mean,
Oh, yeah. Go.
how does what you're asking us to think about relate to the change in the law that allows us to retain so much money?
Yeah, so the retained fund, when this district put before the voters the authorization to retain the fund balance, the statutory limit was 2.5%, and that's what the voters of this district approved.
Right. Okay.
Since then, the legislation has been passed that allows that number to be 5%, but you would have to go back to the voters with another warrant article to gain that increased authority to move the retained fund balance up to 5% of the local taxation from the 2.5% you currently have the authority for.
So is that 200+ thousand within the 2.5%?
Yeah, but
Passed in the past?
well, so you only have to get the authorization from the voters once, and then you have, the board has it until it's rescinded, okay? The calculation this year, the maximum amount that can be retained this year is $306,178.
So it's within that window?
Correct.
Is there any disadvantage, I mean, we'll have to talk this through this year, is there any disadvantage to seeking taxpayer approval to raise it to 5? I mean, it seems to me it gives more flexibility depending on what conditions are. Is there any downside to that?
I can't think of a disadvantage.
Okay.
But that has to have a warrant article?
It is a warrant article, and And to be clear, because I asked this question recently of the state, if you were to put the 5% to vote and it were to fail, you'd still have the 2.5%.
Right.
Unless that were extended by a second warrant.
The 2.5 being the default.
Correct.
Okay.
But we can't do it for another year because we don't have another district meeting, right?
You can't go up to the 5% for another year.
Right,
Correct.
right,
But
right.
you still have the 2.5% number.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions for Dan? All right, Bruce?
Thank you. And following up on Dan's conversation.
So just quickly on this piece, so typically when there are some funds that are available at the end of the year, we have always looked to see if we need to repair anything that was a surprise. And then the other piece is to look in the future of the capital improvement project that you, or improvements that you have. You already have a plan for 10 years, so we try to get some of those projects done if you can.
But along that line, and I think probably has to go before the district, a vote to establish a capital reserve fund. Would it be possible to use some of that surplus to funnel that into a capital reserve fund that could be for a specific purpose, that we know somewhere down the road we're going to need?
That's an option for the next budget process if you want to
Okay,
think of something.
that's still
Yes.
a year away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would think, and that's a safe way to do it too. And then you don't have to, when you need to spend that money, I think you can have a meeting here, as long as it's posted, to make the decision to expend those funds.
No, if money were to go to a capital reserve account, capital reserve fund, trust fund, if you will, the vote to put money in as well as the vote to take money out has to be a warrant article. There are some municipal organizations like towns where a select board may be authorized by the voters to be agents for the fund and expend it at will. That is not the case in the school system.
Okay. So Bruce is just going to go over the smaller projects that we have that we need to address.
Correct.
Yeah.
These have been highlighted. As you well know, with this year's budget, we are doing some paving. We're finishing off the paving by the tennis courts all the way down to the baseball field. We also have an opportunity to pave the teachers' parking lot that's in back of you to the right. I got a quote on that, and that will cover the entire facility in parking, which would really help in regards, especially to when we have the mud season. That price was $131,000.
That's all inclusive?
That's for the teachers' parking lot.
The other piece we already budgeted.
We already budgeted the other piece, Peter. This would be $131,000 to pave the teachers' lot out there. You can see the size of it throughout that window. Park and Rec has asked me for a couple of pieces that I've worked with them on. It's called the Snow Box. I got a quote of about $5,000. What it basically does, people, is it goes in front of their machine that when it does the sand in the springtime, the Snow Box also clears all the pathways that we have in this building, completely around the building. It attaches to the green tractor that we own, which is fairly new, and that price was $5,000. I got a quote, if you remember, it was maybe 8 years ago, that we put in that lovely ski jump. And I do not want to make the same mistake that I made years ago by not looking at that and making sure that we constantly take a look at that and assess the wood and the staining properties, and I did. I need to do some ski jump repairs, which approximately are $8,000, and then I need to put 2 coats of stain on that. I got a couple of quotes. The lowest one was $16,000 for that. And then finally, again in Park and Rec, we own 2 vehicles over there, or the town, of Plymouth Elementary 2. You know the breakout and how that works. I have an 06 truck over there and an 09 truck over there that I cannot take off the property because it's not registered. It's just completely rusted out. But I did get quotes on getting $1,500 for one. If you recall, in the budget, in this year's budget, with the voters authorized to buy a 150 truck for the red one that can't leave the property. I got a $2,000 buyback on that, and we're asking to buy a two-door small cab for $40,000 that would replace the 07. I can take that from property to property without being in violation.
How much is that?
That was $40,000, Peter. And finally, for my athletic department, our gator is on its last leg too, and without any bells and whistles, no four-wheel drive of that, just the gator alone was $13,000. And that would bring the total unsustained fund balance that I'm asking for $213,000. I do have bids for all of them.
Any questions on those projects? The last piece we wanted to talk about was, at the end of last year, we started talking about, put some money aside for the renovation of the bathrooms and the locker rooms to move from the multi-person, I think that they do call them gang bathrooms and showers, to move away from that model and to look at individual stalls like the ones that you built in the CTE center. We have seen an uptick, and I explained this last year too, with just with the difficulty of supervising the bathrooms and the damage done to some of the group bathrooms with the number of kids in there, as well as the behaviors have picked up too, as well as some of the vaping that has been taking place in there. So we'd like to eventually move all of the bathrooms to the single stall bathrooms. So we had the drawings done up this year, as you approved the purchase orders this current year to get started on some of those projects. As you can imagine, the prices have gone up significantly. We've also really understood about how much ESSER funds we're getting, so what we can use the ESSER funds for, so the COVID funds that are federal, which are tie into the bathroom project, which include the HVAC systems as well. So most of those funds are targeted for the HVAC systems. So we've talked with CCI, who's been approved as its sole source. So basically that ties it, for the federal grant piece of it. So it's a little tricky, but there's 3 phases to this project. So it's in your capital improvement plan. We will update it to reflect more current numbers, but they do shift quite a bit. We'd like to do phase 1 this summer, which is a number of the bathrooms. Phase 2, the remaining bathrooms for next summer, and then the summer of 2024, the locker rooms. It's just with the availability of labor, and we talked with John Francis about this before he left, as well as Jason Bergeron, our new facilities director, and John Healy from CCI, and that seems to be the best way to do it as far as when some of the federal funds are available, and then how we can manage some of the funds over the 3 years. So I'm just going to talk to you about phase 1 tonight, which would be, can you go over that, which bathrooms?
Yes, and if I may update the board, phase 1 is the main building, and these are the bathrooms that you see off to the left here come out of the boat, and then the bathrooms by my office and across from the library. There's 4 on each. There's 2 men's rooms, there's 2 ladies. They're all numerous stalls. In the ladies' rooms, there's at least 4 toilets. In the men's room, there's at least 2 and 3 urinals, okay? Which is, as Kyle so eloquently pointed out, obviously a problem. Most kids now that when we put these bathrooms in here, will choose to use those single stalls. They just feel the privacy is just what it speaks to. So that would be phase 1. Out of those 4 bathrooms, on both sides, which is 8, we will get a total of 32 individual stalls. Both men, I wouldn't even have to put men's room and ladies' room because it'd be the same thing here. It's occupied, okay? But that they would all be, and they would all have a handicap accessible on each location. So on each floor, they would completely demolish the entire what it looks like there, and the 8 bathrooms they're gonna put in 4 in each one or whatever, so you can do the math on that. That's phase 1. It can be done in the summertime. If we get the kids out of here at the appropriate date that they can, I can let CCI get in. It wouldn't affect summer school or that piece at all. I can still open this building and then open it come in August with brand new bathrooms, which I think not only the staff, but the students would really appreciate. No single bathroom that we have is on the docket to be done. As Kyla said, then the north wing, we would, on phase 2, we would do the north wing. There's like 4 bathrooms over there. It also includes, as she said, the HVAC, not only in the north wing, but the HVAC that affects those bathrooms here. And Kyla would say, you have extra money on funds on that, which we will look at deeper. But phase 1 is the 8 bathrooms in this main building.
I have a question, Peter. And those are, would you say, trafficked areas?
Extremely
That's
well
what I
trafficked.
said.
I have notes on all those where I have to tell them there's only a capacity of 4, whatever the urinals or the toilets are in there, and I'm sending in people all the time to make sure that the numbers are correct.
For capacity.
Good capacity. They haven't been repaired in probably 10 to 15 years.
So looking at
Those are the originals.
Yeah.
I'm not on this committee, but can I ask a question and clarify? The new bathrooms that you're talking about putting in, are those doors with the lock right out onto the hallway?
No, they're inside. You'll go in the bathroom, and then there'll be 4 stalls, and they can lock individually those stalls. They
Okay,
can lock them. They'll be ceiling to floor.
okay. And I know there were some concerns last year, or the year before, when we spoke to Mark about that, as far as having the washing area free to anybody who goes in, boys or girls.
Correct.
And that I think of as a possible safety issue, but,
I don't want to overspeak, Marty, but I think they all have an individual sink. I think, I'd have to look at the drawings again. But I know I'm getting 4 stalls in each bathroom.
Just, I'm not on the committee either, but I was trying to visualize what you were saying, and you just brought clarification. So like in this bathroom right out here.
Men's room, yep.
Yeah,
There are two toilets and 3 stalls.
You go in, and how, like, in the stall, it would be all stalls? No.
No, there'd be individual stalls, Phil.
it would be like this bathroom.
I'd have to bring the plans in to actually show you, to show you how the architect has drawn it up. But they're individual stalls, that much I can tell you.
Yeah, I think, and I take up on, I think the issue is going to be, which Maureen brings up, is do the individual stalls have individual washing areas in there too and stuff, as opposed to a common one, which is a huge difference.
No, I think they do, Sam.
So that's different, because then there would be essentially nothing in the common area.
It's the hallway.
Just a hallway, and then you go in. But that makes a difference in terms of, I would think, what you're talking about is, as opposed to everyone coming out of the stalls and going to the common sink.
yeah, and as far as having a locked door, not a locked door, any kind of door that closes out to the hallway.
That won't lock.
But having a door that closes could be considered a safety issue for if perhaps a young.
I think all these issues you talk, when I bring the plans, and I think they'll answer them themselves, but, that's the bathrooms need to be looked at. They obviously need to be attended to. That price is approximately $1.8 million, Joe, to do those 8 bathrooms. And depending on the prices that we're using now. Okay, that's phase 1. And Kyler has briefly talked to you about where the funding on those pieces would come. We have an opportunity to use those extra funds, especially for the HVAC,
Right.
which we'll be able to take and use right away for us, for pilot lines.
Bruce, could you not have a door on it?
Yeah, you could.
I mean, because it's.
Yeah, you could. It's
to
gonna be
open it
open
up,
to men. It's not gonna be
waiting.
urinal in there, and you could have it open, absolutely.
Just to deter
Yeah.
the vaping or whatever, those that are waiting to use maybe?
But I still won't know if they're vaping, because they'll be in that, it'll be closed, but only one person can go in that room. I
Right.
mean, in that closed toilet, okay?
And we're finalizing the plans for this, and my understanding from speaking with John Francis is it would be very similar to the Rumney project. So
Yes.
the Rumney just had this done as far as, it's a hallway with doors. And they have the bathrooms with the sink, and then they come right out, it's open, it just looks like a little hallway.
Bruce, can you bring those plans to the next meeting?
I could, yes, I could. I could.
I think it would help everybody to
Absolutely,
see,
yeah.
visualize it.
They're well done, they're extremely well done how they do.
Other business to come before the committee?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You know, would it be possible at the next committee meeting, I guess, just to find out, where did the money that we saved come from, what categories?
I can answer that too, if you don't mind, Kat? I
Yeah,
think
I
that's, when I prepare the budget and do all that, Phil, there are certain costs that I have to take and consider, especially dealing with special ed. I don't gamble. If I have students that I don't know if this is the right educational setting for them, I'll err on the conservative side. So right now, I've been able to maintain the number of those students' education right here. So that's coming from some of the special ed tuition, and then others is a variety of transportation costs that I've saved throughout the year.
So basically, special ed and transportation?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am looking for a motion for unreserved,
For the summer project?
yes,
Yeah,
to go on to
to
the.
go to the
To go
full
on the
committee,
full board,
same with the
yes.
phase one of the
Is
bathroom.
there a motion?
I'll make that motion to send it to the full committee.
I'll
Is there a
second.
Full board, excuse me.
Okay. There's a motion to send it before the full board. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? It's been carried. Goes to the full board, which I believe is in May, right?
Yeah.
Personnel, non-public. We still want to do that?
No, I do not have anything for
Okay.
personnel.
Wait till May.
Future meeting, the next committee meeting will be on May 17th. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?